Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on some earrings using our SoftFlex Kit Double Rainbow. Now what I'm going to use are some of our rainbow beads and a couple of our rainbow charms. The other things I'm going to use are, I'm going to add some spacers from my own stash. And then we're going to get some ear wires from my stash. But the other thing we need is some wire itself, because we're going to make double hoops. And because we're making, well, I may just make a single hoop, but I'm thinking double hoop. One hoop, the interior one, our little rainbows are going to sit in the middle of our hoops. And then our little beads will go on the outer hoop, and the inner hoop will have they're so pretty and colorful. The inner hoop will be hammered, either hammered or twisted. I haven't decided yet, and I do have to make that decision. But in the meantime, we're just going to separate our beads out here, and we'll get what we need for each earring. And then we're going to build these up. I'll show you what we're going to do once I have everything all situated here. But in the meantime, we're going to put some little rainbows on the bottom wire with our beads, and then we will decide on the hammered or the, and then we're going to hang our little rainbow in the middle, this little rainbow charm in the middle. I think it's going to be cute. Let's turn down and we will get this situated here. Put the charms and some spacers and 2 sets of each color towards each one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get some wire out and some so I'm going to use some 18 gauge square wire for our loop, and then we'll need some 18 gauge for our outer loop where our beads are going to hang on to. But first we want to make sure our beads will go onto our 18 gauge. So it looks like they're going to go fine, no problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out 5 inches of our, well, it doesn't have, well, it might, because we're going to be putting the rainbow in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out 5 inches of our square wire. And if you didn't want your loop to be that big, you could make it be smaller. But I'm thinking, I'm not sure how much I'm going to need, and I want to make sure that my loops are big enough for my to go around our rainbow. So I've cut the one piece, and now I'm going to cut a second piece. And then I've got to decide, do I want this to be hammered or do I want it to be twisted? Now, if hammered, we don't have to do it right away because we can do it after it's formed. But if we want it twisted, it has to happen right now before we form it. So that decision has to be made. But we can This is going to need to sit aside a little bit so we don't get it, it's not in our way. But so then the question then becomes, do we want it twisted or do we want it hammered? Or do we want it both? Now, let's try both. What I mean by that is we'll twist it, we'll form it, and then we'll hammer it to flatten our twist up some, which is, you know, it's a little different, but we'll give it a try. Let's see how it works. I haven't ever done that before, but there's a first time for everything, isn't there? So we're going to get hold of our wire here, hold it down here and put it on here, and then we'll just twist the our twisting tool, holding our plier very still over here on this side. It wants to slide. Do you see that? And that's not uncommon. Don't worry about it if it does. Now, I've got it twisted. Now we got to put the second one in and do it. I try to do, when I'm doing these hoop-like earrings, I try to do both sides at the same time. Why? Because we want them to be pretty much the same. And if you did them at different times, you'd find they probably would be different. So we got to get our wire into our pin twist here. I put it in a little further than I wanted it. There, we'll tighten it back up. Now we take hold of this side again and just twist. I think that's close enough. So now we'll take this out. We're done with our pin twist. We'll put it away so we don't get it lost. And now what we want to do is we want to form our loops. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to do the holding loop on the one side. So we got there. It's one. We'll do it on this side as well. Now, because I'm not putting beads on here, I actually could do it on both sides, and I think I will, so that we're going this direction. Oops, don't slide off. So we have loops on either side now. We need to put the other one on this side as well. You'll notice I twisted it some. That's so that I can get them going in the same direction. They don't always want to do that. So there we go. There's those two. And as you can see, weirdly enough, one of these is longer than the other one, and even though we measured them wire to wire. And since that's the case, we can't have that. They need to be the same. So we're going to take this, and we're going to guesstimate about how much this one is extra, and just go into this loop and cut it off. Then we'll go and we'll turn this loop again. So it's the same, and it's not sitting the same, so we'll squish it down. So now let's see if it's the same size now. And it pretty much is. Wow, that loop looks bigger than the other loops. I wonder why that is. Because it is. Strange. Okay. I'm going to take just a teensy weensy bit off of this, because this might be why it was bigger, because I must have used the other loop when I did this larger one. I don't want the larger one to be the loop we have used here, because I didn't on the others. So I'm actually going to pull this apart. And to do that, I'm just going to bring this out here. Then I'm going to put my pliers back in the loop here. See, they fit so that they fit in here pretty good. And then I'm going to bring it tighter. There we go. Now the loop is about the same, but is the bar still the same size, or do we need to cut some off? And see, we are off again. This one that we just were working on is now bigger, and that might have been what the problem was before when we cut the other one, because this one might have just been, the loop may have just been bad. See how it's now a little bit bigger again? So we're going to cut just a teeny more touch off right here on this end. Not very much, just a little bit. Go in here and get the loop finished again. And let's see how we are doing now. Pretty good. Good enough. So now we want our wire mandrel. This is a wire mandrel. Now, if you don't have one, you can use anything that's about the same shape as, or you know, shape and size that you want. This is not even to each other. So I just took hold of the loops because there were, one was going a little more one way than the other. I just took hold of the loops and pushed them so they were at the same size. So we're going to bring it around here. Now, see how when I first started that, they weren't the same spot, but now they are. That's because when I was pulling it around, I made sure they both went at the same time. And if they hadn't been, then I would have, I'll show you with the other one. Let's see if you fit in here good. Pretty good. They'll probably want to put a little chain in here or something. We could make it a little smaller. In fact, let's do that. And in order to make it smaller, I'm going to cut the loops off entirely. So we just go up here, see where it's hitting right there at the loop, bing. Do the same on this side. And now I'm going to reform those loops. So we'll go in with our littler one, make sure it's the littler one since I did do one with the bigger one accidentally, and swing it around. Like so. Now, because I cut the loops off of the other one, even after it was formed, we're going to cut these off right now anyway, because we do want them off. And we want them to be smaller. So now we're going to take and we're going to reform the loops on this one. It's not quite all the way up there. There we go. Now it's a little bit too much, but that's all right. We can squish it down so it goes over side by side. Now we'll go to the other side and do the other one. Squish it down, squish it so it's sitting. Now see how this one's this way and this one's just a little bit down the other way? That's because of the twists. So just take it and push it over so it sits properly. Now, because I cut the rings off, though, this is much smaller as far as the loops are concerned, so we'll move it up. And then we're going to take hold of it right here with our finger, so it's resting on that ridge, and then we're going to pull it closer together. Now, it still could be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to do it up here. But it doesn't need to be quite that small. So this one is actually, I really want it sort of halfway in between the two, so we will wiggle it. But now see, it sits there with not as much room. So this one needs to form about halfway between the two bottom ones. So we'll start with the first bottom one. Put your thumb there, rest it onto that lip, then start bringing these around. Now you can see that this one is closer over here than the other one, and I see that this is turning a bit. That's all right. So there's our first bunch. So now we're going to slide it up to here and we're going to bring it up. But see how I'm making sure that the loops are coming at about the same angle? So there we go. And this one is more rounded, I think. And that's not really all that surprising. So I'm going to go back down onto here. And I'm going to push these two so that they're down and more rounded out. Then we'll go up here and do it again. So there we go. There's our second one. So there we go. Those are finished. I'll keep this out because we're going to need it for the other one. Now we could leave these loops just like this and be done with it. Or the other step we can make is if we want these to be squared off or, you know, flattened some as well as being twisted, we can get our still block out. And then we put our pieces on our still block and get our hammer out. This is my chasing hammer, and we're going to hammer these. Now I'm not going to hammer them much because I don't want them really flat, just a little bit. Flip this one over. Do the second side. Now where I do want it flatter is up there where the loops are at, so they take less room in your jump ring. So now we have a twist and a flat both, so it makes it be textured. With the twist is making a texture into it. So frankly, I think I prefer just the twist, but we're not going to redo it because of that. We'll just put this one, do this one. Flip it over. Now we're done with that. Oh, I could make this loop just a little bit flatter. It's pretty thick still. There we go. So there we go. Our two circles are flattened out and twisted and flattened. Now, I personally prefer the straight twist or the straight flat, but these are interesting with the flat and the twist. But see how they're slightly out of shape now? So we need to shape them back up. So we're going to put them in here and go around like so. And we'll do the same with this one. And they are about the same size, maybe slightly different, but not much. But sometimes the little loops will open up, so you need to go back in and push them back down so they're sitting flat on the other bar. They're pretty good. Now I do want them a little closer together, so I am going to push them like this. Now we cut these as 5 inches, but then we cut some off. So I'm going to cut 6 inches of this wire. Usually you want at least an extra inch. When you're adding beads, you probably want an extra 1.5 inches. But since I cut part of these off, I'm not too worried about that extra ½ inch. I'm just going to call them good at 1 inch. So we're going to cut 6 inches of wire. This one seems to be a little bit larger than the other one, but I don't think it's a problem. So this guy is going to sit, when we get this piece put together, he's going to sit in here. Then we're going to have the wire, the other loop of wire around the other outer side. And it's going to have all these pretty rainbow beads on it when we put it together. So it's going to be a very colorful pair of earrings. So let's get the 6 inches of this wire cut. And I noticed that this side has a notch, so I'm going to just cut it off right now. And we'll push this baby out of here and straighten it up, which seems always sort of silly to straighten it when you're just going to curl it again. But I am going to I want that uncurled so it's easier to measure it. So I'm going to come down to here, and then we're going to cut this wire off. So we're done with it temporarily. Well, we're done with it. We are done with it, unless for some reason we decide we need some more. So now this, I'm going to take the handle because it's a longer piece. So I'm going to take and pull it around like so, but see how I've got a lot more wire on this side? So since we know that, we're going to curl it more from this other side here, so that when the curl is finished, they have about the same length of tail. So see, I just moved this one now. So there we go. Same with this. We'll hold it down and then just pull it around. And then as we get here, see how this one is much longer? So this is the one we're going to continue pushing, and then we'll just push them both as they get to that spot. So now we want to make sure these are about the same. Looks like one is pushed over just a little bit more than the other one. So I'm going to take it and we're going to push it again, and we're going to make sure that it's all rounded all the way around. So there we go. We do the same with this one. And push it in so that it's more rounded. Now they're pretty much the same, and it's going to go over the top like so. Now we're going to make our loops on either side. Well, no, we're going to only make a loop on one side of these. Do the same on this one. And now we need to feed on our beads. This one still looks more rounded than that one, so let's get this out again. And when we go over here, we want to make sure we're going around that loop some. And now this one needs more rounding, so go around here. Like, see how it is? Then just push these down so they are rounded out here. So now we have that one more rounded. And if we compare loop to loop, see how that loops right there? And their wires are about the same. You see this one has gone longer. So what I'm going to do is, since those are now in place, and this one's longer, we're going to take our clippers and clip this extra wire off right here. So now they're pretty much exactly alike, except for I may have trimmed too much wire off that because it looks like it's not quite, yeah, that's there. So now what we need to do is decide on our pattern of beads. These guys are our charms to go in the middle of our hammered and twisted loops. Bing. And then this one, of course, will go around the outside with the beads on it. Now, I could make it a little smaller because you see that I do have a pretty good size gap there, but remember the beads are going to come up a ways. So now we have to decide on our bead pattern. And I believe this goes red, orange, yellow, green, no, light blue. I'm not sure that that's exactly the right pattern for a rainbow, but it plays good to me. So now we also want some of our spacers out because I like a spacer between each one. Now we'll see if we want to add a second layer of beads, a second strip of rainbow after we get the first one on. If there looks to be plenty of room, then we'll do that. So we're going to feed our beads on right now. Now I did get 2 of each color out for each earring, so if we wanted to do a double rainbow, we can do that. Oops, come here, you. Well, all the way around. Okay, there is our first rainbow on there. And if we put the second, remember it's going to be the same length, so it's going to be quite a bit up here, like so. But I'm thinking we are going to go for the second one, though just one is really pretty too, because it would sit like so. Down here, just the bottom, like so. I think we are going to put the second one on, see how it looks. So we need the excuse me. So let's see how it looks with the 2 sections of rainbow on. So we're going to start with a spacer since we don't have a spacer at the end of the red one and we want one in between the sets. Now, if you had wanted to, you could have used the nylon hammer and hammered these rings before you put beads on, but this is 18 gauge, so it should be plenty strong enough without having to. And it's 18 gauge German style as opposed to a craft wire, which is a dead soft, whereas a German style is got a medium temper, so it has a little more firmness to it. This orange one doesn't want to go on for some reason. Now our red. That's what it's going to look like once it's finished. Pretty much like that. Now, I'm thinking this might be longer than we want it to be, but let's roll this since we have all the beads on now and see if we need to trim the wire down by trimming loops off. See how this one's way over here still? And I don't think we definitely don't want it that far over, because this was about perfect where with hanging this loop right here. And it actually even could have been a little smaller. So we are definitely going to trim this one's loop off on this side. Just go straight up to it. Just bump your flush cutters right up to the loop and cut it off. Now we'll make it another one and see if we need to cut off more. And as you can see, it still is on the opposite side, and I didn't want it any bigger. And in fact, it could have gone a little smaller and it wouldn't bother me any. So I'm again going to cut that loop off and then roll it again. So push your flush cutters right up to the loop, cut the loop off. Now we'll make another wrap here. Bump. Now you see it isn't right beside each other. We could even bring it in a little bit. Oops, come on you. And just to bring it in, you just take your sides and just push them together some. So there we go. And let's see how she's looking. It could even be a little bit smaller. I don't think I'd want it a lot smaller, but I might want it to be just a teeny bit smaller. And if you want it just a teeny bit smaller, just go into the loop and find the spot where you think looks good. Like say right here. We'll take that off and then we roll again till we finish up our loop again. Okay, now we have two loops again. We need to bring it back together. Now, if you wanted to, you could get your mandrel out to help you do this. I tend to just grab hold of both sides like I'm doing right now and just push them together a little bit. Not so much that you'd make a bend in the wire, but enough to do a loop. So there she is. That's what it's going to look like when we put it all together. Isn't that pretty? So let's put the beads on the other side and start cutting its loops off. We already know we're going to cut at least 1 or 2 loops off. In fact, since we know we're going to do that, we could actually turn the loop cut it off. And I believe we trimmed it off twice, so we could do it again. And then cut our loop off again. And now we have it approximately where it was going to go. I believe we just cut a little notch out of the next loop to finish this up. So let's dump our beads out. And we're just going to start hooking them on here. And when we have it all hooked on, then we will see if we need to take them off. So I can start on either side. I can start with the red, since we've got the red right there. I can just follow the pattern that I've got there. Come on, red, where's your end? Where's your hole? There we go. And then we'll just go up the line, red, orange, yellow. Okie dokie. Now this is trimmed up some, and they're looking pretty good. They might be a little bit off, but not enough to make it be an issue. Now when I put these together, I'm going to want them to go opposite directions. So we're going to put our loop in here, our pieces of our yarn. So this will sit in here. Go down, beads. We're going to get some jump rings out. We're going to put this one right in here with this. Same with this side. Go down, beads. Nope, go over there. Put this guy in here. Bing. Then we're going to put 2 or 3 jump rings on this guy. It needs 3 if we're going to put multiples. And it's going to hang down here in the middle. So we have our double rainbow earrings. So to do that, we need to get out some jump rings. And for the big one here, for up here at the top, we need 2. This one's crooked. I have to fix it. As you can see, it's leaning a little back. We don't want it to do any leaning because that will keep it from sitting in the jump ring just right. See how they're not quite. There we go. Lined up. Now they are better. How about you guys? Not quite. See how they're a little bit off? That's better. Oops. Again, this one's a little bit back from the other one, and this one's a little bit off this way. So there we go. Bing. Now, because of we want it to hang this direction, when you put jump rings onto the charm, it has to be an uneven number. So you want at least 3. And to do that, I'm going to get my jump rings out, and we need, whoops, that's not how I don't need that many, but we do need 3 big ones for each one. And we can do either a big one or a medium one for, I think we'll do a medium one and 2 Tinky Tots. Maybe I'll leave it a large one and 2 Tinky Tots. Except for I don't think these are the large. I think these might be mediums. In fact, I'm fairly positive. So my large have fallen here. Yep, there they are. So these are not exactly what I want. So we want to have a medium and 2 Tinky Tots, I think, to hold our rainbow. I think. I may end up deciding I need some bigger ones, but we'll see. And we need the 3 large per side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and make a little chain sort of thing for our rainbows. And so I need a couple of Tinky Tots for each one. These are 4mm oval jump rings, so we just call them Tinky Tots because, well, they're tinky. So I'm going to through here. No. Put the charm on first. Then I'll put one of the other Tinky Tots on. Close it up. Then I'll get the medium one. Now, if I decide that this is not long enough this way, I will switch one of these Tinky Tots to a medium, or I'll switch something else, but we'll see. So once you get this made, like so, we can put this over here with this rainbow. What you're going to do is you're going to take your big ones here. Now I'm using big ones. I would use medium ones, but when you're putting two pieces together like this, you tend to need the larger size, because they are going to fall down, of course, into the curve, and then they're going to fight each other for space. So you want them to have the space so they'll go. So there's one. Took this out of the wrong pile. Go back over there. Then we'll put the other one on here, on the other two. So now we're holding the two pieces together here. And you can see that even with them being in the large ones, they are still fighting for space a little bit. And the outer one will push up just a little bit, but not enough to make it a really big problem. So now what you want to do is you take this last one here, and I didn't get any ear wires out. I should get some ear wires out before I do this, because otherwise we have to open it back up. But you're going to grab your first one of these, then you're going to put your rainbow on, grab the second one, and the rainbow is backwards to what I want it to be, so we'll have to take it back off. Come on. Turn it around. Come on, turn around. And then grab this one again. So it's still up a little higher than I want it. See how it's pretty high up there? So I will probably change out at least one of these Tinky Tots in the rainbows to a medium, or I will change to a large jump ring to go at the top, which either way works. In fact, let's just go ahead and use one of these big ones that we have out here, and in fact, if you decide you might want a little bit more, you can always use one Tinky Tot, one medium, and one large. And because the large one's going to go up here in the curve, you're not going to hardly see it. And so I think I might just do that. So we'll put the medium one here, see, like that. We're going to take that middle Tinky Tot off. We can put it on the other one, since we'll have it open when we do this. So there's the one with the medium and then we're going to put this onto here. I can put the other two Tinky Tots away later because we aren't going to need them. Put the medium one on here, and then the large one. Now you got to watch it when you do, and you could use just a little piece of chain if you wanted to also, but since you still would have to have some jump rings, you know, that's a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other issue, whether you want to do that or not. So since this is open, we're going to just put it on here and close it up. So now we have a Tinky Tot, a 4mm, a 6mm, and an 8mm, and they're going to go right in here, and they should hang with him down there just quite well. So now I'm going to put these two to get the other one together, other than with its ear wire. Put this guy on here, close it up, and then we'll put these two on this one. Now I'm putting the hammered one in the front, and since this one has the blue on this side, I'm going to switch this so that the blue is on the other side, because I like them to be mirror images. So there. And we'll need to get 2 more large ones out, obviously, to put it together. And that's fine, we can do that, obviously. So there is 2 big ones put on there. Go back down there and drop your piece. Now I got to get some ear wires and 2 more big ones out. I've got the 2 jump rings and I got 2 ear wires, and I'm going to test these ear wires, make sure they're working. This one is a little stiff, but it's still working. Uh-oh. See this one? See how it just, now it's bagging open once I've opened it once? That is what I mean by still working. Sometimes they don't want to close up after they've opened up once or twice. Well, oh, it's working now. So, now we're going to put them together. So we open up this large jump ring. We grab hold. Now these, you need to make sure these are falling forward. So you need to get one here. Then we need our rainbow. Our other side. Now if you get these, grab these wrong, they're going to kink up. Now we go take our ear wire, make sure it's going to the front, and go through and close up. So there we go. That's what it looks like. So let's put the second one together. So again, we grab our first one here. Make sure it's going forward. Get your rainbow. Put it on. Now we want to push this one up, the second one, so that it's up, facing upwards, like so. Now we'll get our ear wire, put it on. Go through here. Close her up. And our earrings are done. So there's our little double rainbow, our double rainbow earrings using our SoftFlex Design Challenge Kit Double Rainbow. Aren't those pretty? So there we are. There is our pretty double rainbow hoop earring, double hoop earrings, double rainbows, double hoops. Aren't those pretty? So colorful. They're nice length. So I think they're gorgeous. I really like how those turned out. I hope you enjoyed making them with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we have been using the SoftFlex Design Challenge Kit Double Rainbow to make these stunning crystal earrings. Aren't they pretty? I really like them. I think they turned out really nice, and I hope you agree. Again, this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.